and welcome again to Bible Study by the Pond. Rebel and I invite you to join us for the reading of Genesis chapter 34. Now Dinah, the daughter Leah had borne to Jacob, went out to visit the women of the land. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, the ruler of that area, saw her, he took her and violated her. His heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob, and he loved the girl and spoke tenderly to her. And Shechem said to his father, Hamor, "Get me this girl as my wife." Even though he loved her, he made many mistakes. He should have wooed first. He should have asked the father. And this concept, get me this girl as my wife. No good can come from demanding, from being a dictator, from telling people. We are to live quietly. We are to entice people gently, kindly, to be our friends. We are to bring people into our presence with love. When Jacob heard that his daughter Dinah had been defiled, his sons were in the fields with his livestock. So he kept quiet about it until they came home. Then Shechem's father, Hamor, went out to talk with Jacob. Now Jacob's sons had come in from the fields as soon as they heard what had happened. They were filled with grief and fury because Shechem had done a disgraceful thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, a thing that should not be done. But Hamor said to them, "My son Shechem has his heart set on your daughter. Please give her to him as his wife. Intermarry with us, give us your daughters, and take our daughters for yourselves. You can settle among us. The land is open to you. Live in it, trade in it, and acquire property in it." Then Shechem said to Dinah's father and brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and I will give you whatever you ask. Make the price for the bride and the gift I am to bring as great as you like, and I will pay whatever you ask me. Only give me the girl as my wife." Because their sister Dinah had been defiled, Jacob's sons replied deceitfully, as they spoke to Shechem and his father Hamor. Here we see they knew the Ten Commandments. They understood the ninth commandment. In all that we do, we must keep the Ten Commandments in everything. Only by keeping of them can we show our love to those around us. Breaking them shows our hate. Whenever the Ten Commandments are broken, somebody gets hurt. They said to them, "We can't do such a thing. We can't give our sister to a man who is not circumcised. That would be a disgrace to us. We will give our consent to you on one condition only, that you become like us by circumcising all your males. Then we will give you our daughters and take your daughters for ourselves. We'll settle among you and become one people with you. But if you will not agree to be circumcised, we'll take our sister and go." Boy, that was a lot of deceit. Again, Jacob's character from the old days is coming through to his children. What does the Bible say? The sins of the fathers will carry down through the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. We need to be very careful in what we do, because our character somehow becomes embedded in our DNA, and our DNA is passed on to our generations after us. We want to make sure that we give our generations after us, our sons and daughters, a cleaner DNA, one of love, not one of breaking God's commandments. Their proposal seemed good to Hamor and his son Shechem. The young man, who was the most honored of all his father's household, lost no time in doing what they said. because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate of their city to speak to their fellow townsmen. "These men are friendly toward us," they said. "Let them live in our land and trade in it. The land has plenty of room for them. We can marry their daughters, and they can marry ours. But the men will consent to live with us as one people only on the condition that our males be circumcised as they themselves are. Won't their livestock, their property, and all the other animals become ours? So let us give our consent to them, and they will settle among us." On the other hand, Shechem was also deceitful. He saw this wealthy family move in next door, so he got acquainted, and uppermost in his mind was the relationship he could acquire in order to get their wealth. Covetousness, greed, always destroys. Let us never base any of our relationships on greed and covetousness. All the men who went out of the city gate agreed with Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male in the city was circumcised. 3 days later, while all of them were still in pain, 2 of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and attacked the unsuspecting city, killing every male. They put Hamor and his son Shechem to the sword and took Dinah from Shechem's house and left. The sons of Jacob came upon the dead bodies and looted the city where their sister had been defiled. They seized their flocks and herds and donkeys and everything else of theirs in the city and out in the fields. They carried off all their wealth and all their women and children, taking as plunder everything in the houses. That was a mistake. We must be very careful in all that we do. Here they became greedy and took what was not theirs to take. A couple hundred years later, we'll find where it got repaid to them. Egypt took everything from them, and they became slaves to Egypt. Oh, folks, we need to be very careful in what we do. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have brought trouble on me by making me a stench to the Canaanites and Perizzites, the people living in this land. We are few in number, and if they join forces against me and attack me, I and my household will be destroyed." But they replied, "Should he have treated our sister like a prostitute?" An eye for an eye only makes the world blind. I think that's what Gandhi said. We need to love. Yes, there's disciplining involved. There needs to be some punishments for sins. But we need to be very careful that love covers over everything. Right? That's right. Let us today practice forgiving, loving, and giving our lives totally to Jesus so that those around us will know that we do not hold grudges. We do not hold anything against anybody. Let God do the holding. Let us just love. Thank you.